a region that has high growth, that has very entrepreneurial people, and excellent development opportunities. So those are all the pluses. There are still some concerns about corporate governance and corruption. Those are concerns everywhere around the world. But again, when we think of high growth, entrepreneurial people, and development opportunities, JP Morgan wants to be here.
Michael, I'm drawing an imaginary map of Africa here for you. When you look at that map, I've just painted it for
Yes.
you. Show me the hotspots.
Okay, certainly we have a very big business in South Africa, so there's no doubt about that. We also have a very vibrant business in North Africa and in the GCC. And in sub-Saharan Africa, we've opened an office now, a branch in Nigeria. So we are expanding our efforts in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Gabon, Angola, and other countries, Tanzania.
How big a statement is that, the opening of this Nigerian branch?
It's a big statement because we're going to be attracting more and more staff there. We already trade the local bonds and the currency. We are involved in some of Nigeria's biggest corporates. And of course, as you know, it's well known, JP Morgan Chase, they are bankers to bankers. So we're very much involved in all the financial sectors of the countries we cover.
Sure. So let's talk about that Africa strategy. What exactly are you pinpointing? What are you looking for when you decide we'll go into Nigeria, we'll go perhaps into Ghana, or
Yes.
should we go into Chad?
Right. So first of all, we look at relatively deep markets and we look at good investment opportunities. So the side of the bank that I represent does fixed income, and we also do currencies.
Sure.
Other sides of the bank, treasury services, commodities, private banking, wealth management, we all want to be in sub-Saharan Africa. So when you think of treasury services, they're going to provide assistance to all of the central banks in the region, and that's very valuable, and the governments. So you think of a JP Morgan and you think again, relationships with the central banks,
Right.
the governments, and the blue chip banks and companies. In that respect, our bank has been in the midst of a 10-year increase in its global corporate bank. And so we will be servicing our multinationals in sub-Saharan Africa and the large sub-Saharan national companies.
So we're not looking here at a sudden sprouting of JP Morgan branches around the
No,
African
no,
continent.
no.
This is very much organic.
Organic, step by step. You're absolutely right, Godfrey.
All right. When that decision is taken to go into these different geographies, what specific considerations do you give? But you spoke about the depth of the market.
Yes.
And you spoke about, of course, stability. Beyond that, when you look at these other new emerging markets in Africa, you don't find those kind of things very, very often in many places.
No, and that's why we do things tentatively in the sense of one country at a time we're going to be expanding. But then we use our bankers, we'll be using those from Nigeria, those from South Africa and London, all servicing the market. And then as we see the depth grows and governance improves, then we expand. But again, it's a decision at the very high level of the bank to risk money in this area. We think it's a good decision.
Can I commit you to some numbers? What exactly are you looking at in terms of
Yeah.
spending in Africa?
I
over the
just
next
have
year?
not brought the numbers with me, I'm afraid. I just flew in from Russia, and I just didn't bring the numbers, so it'd be wrong for me to commit. But the main thing is that this is a long-term commitment.
Sure.
You'll see that our bank has a history of being in a country for decades. So it's long-term, but I just didn't bring the numbers with me.
So if I were to bring you into a room full of African heads of state, which we attempt to do at CNBC Africa because
Yes.
we broadcast to the whole continent, what would be your key message to them?
Well, it's the message that they repeat to their own populations. It's the exact message. We want to have inclusive growth. We want to transform the entire country. And in doing so, we need to have economic growth, but also proper investment in infrastructure. Not only physical infrastructure, but human capital. These are what the leaders are saying themselves. Less corruption, more effectiveness of investment. JP Morgan says the exact same thing as these leaders say.